selling cars since '83. I'm busting fools and teaching schools, sharing tools and breaking rules. Who's Danny? They say it's me, breaking it down for all to see. Keep it simple, keep it clear. The status quo is all I fear.
There's Mark Tewart. What's going on, man?
What's happening, Amarillo Slim?
Yeah, Amarillo Slim. That's me. Have you ever even been to Amarillo?
Nobody's really ever been to Amarillo. Everybody's trying to leave Amarillo, but nobody's really ever been there.
I-40 goes right through Amarillo, so you have to be in Amarillo if you want to take that major interstate. So, and I know you go all over the country because you're a super famous trainer. So, yeah. But you probably have your own helicopter.
Sure. Me and Trump.
Tell the audience, welcome, first of all, to the Who's Your Danny show. This is a huge honor. There's only been very, very select people that have got to be on the show, mainly because I've only done 4. But you're in my top 4, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like being in the top 4 with the IRS or the government. I'm just not quite sure how good that is.
This is going to be bad. Ladies and gentlemen, or actually the 3 people that are listening, please, Mark is, he's kind of sarcastic. And you know me, I'm a very serious person, and so I'm going to try not to be offended, Mark. Mark, seriously, it's an honor. You're a good friend. We have a lot of fun together. We've known each other now for a couple of years, and we don't get to see enough of each other. But Mark Tewart is seriously one of the best trainers in the country. He really aligns with me a lot on a lot of our philosophies. It's funny, we've been at conferences and accused each other of stealing each other's material because we really do think alike, and I love that. It's fun when you find someone who is like-minded. But Mark, please tell the audience about yourself, kind of your history and what you do, and about Tewart Enterprises.
Let's see. What about Mark Tewart? Well, as you mentioned, I do training and speaking and consulting and coaching, and mostly in the automotive industry, but I do a lot of work outside of the automotive industry. I've done banking. I just did a keynote speech for a very, very old pump company that manufactures, sells pumps. So a little bit of everything, but mostly the automobile business, and been in it longer than I want to talk about, probably about 33, 34 years, and I've had my own business for now about 21 of those years. So I was in the retail business, I think, close to 13 years, from sales, leasing, F&I, and then general manager, and then started my own company.
You started, your first job was in Houston, right? Quickly tell the story about how you just kind of waged it all on the car business and how you kind of pushed all in. Tell that story real quick. I love it.
Well, I was broke and I didn't have my own place to stay. If it wasn't for a girlfriend and a few nights sleeping in a car, and before that sleeping in a rat and roach infested place, I would have been completely homeless when I had first got to Houston. But I went down to Houston, Texas, and was starving and working, and but I needed to make some real money, and I was broke, and I got in the car business. But the first job I got, I was on a bus coming from downtown Houston back to an apartment, and I remembered seeing an ad from a car dealer, and I saw the sign, and I remember they said free demo. So I told the bus driver, I said, stop. And I got off, ran over there, and interviewed, and they wouldn't hire me, and I kept going back. And after about 2.5 weeks, I just badgered them enough where they said, I think if we just hire this guy to clean cars or do something, he'll stop bothering us. So that's how I got in the car business.
Oh, that's awesome. Tell the audience what it is you do right now.
Speaking, training, consulting, but to give you an idea, last week I was gone all week. I was with a private client, automotive group that owns dealerships, and I did both sales training, management training, and then worked in the stores, actually physically, working with the desk managers, the general manager, the owner, and trying to put together their whole game plan for everything from their people, their processes, their inventory, and then their marketing, advertising. What I do is a little bit different than what anybody else out there does. There's trainers, there's speakers, there's consultants, But when I go into a private client, I combine all of their business, and it's a combination of training, consulting, and coaching. So I work with their whole store, and I think that's how we're able to get the best results. And then over and beyond that, I do some motivational speaking. And when I'm home, I work either out of my house or at my office. Some days I get out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, and I'll work to 10 o'clock before I even taken a shower.
Right.
Writing. I write and publish several articles. I've written a book, How to Be a Sales Superstar, and I write a lot of blogs and material and things like that, and then I read. And then often I'll get ready and go into the office and work the rest of the day at my office.
Good. Well, and I think I've been around you a couple of those times that you didn't shower.
Yes. Yeah. Generally, it's a requirement to be by Danny. I have to make sure I got a little BO going on.
Yeah, you got to. It's the musk. As a dealership operator, as a general manager, and if I have a trainer come in, tell me what your mindset is coming in, because I'm here and I'm a dealer and I'm stubborn. This is the way we've always done it. And here comes this big hot shot in here that I'm paying all kinds of money to. And what's the way that you come into a dealership so that you don't come in step on toes?
Well, the first thing I try to do is to make sure that I really want to come into your store, that you and I are going to be a good fit. And in your case, that would not be the case. So,
okay.
I spend a good hour and a half or 2 hours with a potential client, and I have a set series of questions. And sometimes that can become not an hour and a half or 2 hours, but a 4-hour conversation.
Sure.
And I'll find out every single thing I can about your operations and you. And I tell people, generally by that time, I have a pretty good idea for your operation and you have a good idea about me and whether we can work together. And then I try to come up with a game plan for your entire business of those, the old thing called the 4 Ps.
Right.
And then once we decide we're going to work together, I always, always, always start off with the owner and the managers.
Okay.
I will never take a client that just wants to do sales training anymore.
Okay.
I turn those down. And I told a client that I'm going into next week, first time, that, if you're just looking for sales training, I'm not going to be a good match for you, because that's great and it'll work, but it's never, ever by doing that alone. That's just piecemeal,
right.
And it's not a long-term solution.
Right. Well, that makes perfect sense. Okay, based on that conversation, you come into my dealership. How important is it to work with the sales managers and the people that are managing the floor, only from a sales training standpoint? Let's just cut that part out.
As much or more. As a matter of fact, without the leaders, then the rest of the environment, the culture, and everything else, the communication is never going to work. So I work as much or more with the managers. I start with them and the owners. And I want to make sure that I tell them all the time, I said, listen, you knew how to sell cars before you met me.
Right.
I'm not a guru. You know a lot of what to do. What I look for is just what you're doing good that we can do maybe even better. I look for the opportunity gaps. I look for things that when you're looking at your business every day that you may not just see.
Right.
And as you well know, it's small things, and the old adage of big doors swing on small hinges. So I can take something small with them, and through the management, working with the rest of the salespeople and the rest of the staff, to make a big difference. And I even include the sales managers in the sales training that we do. It's imperative that they're involved and know exactly what's going on.
But what's really the big 1 or 2 things that you see that the listeners here might go, oh gosh, that's us too? What do you see consistently?
A lack of processes, usually, or effective processes or communicated processes, not only for sales process, but effective deal process and overall management, operational processes, things that, it's blocking and tackling. And let's just get down to it.
Right.
We all want to look like that some Hail Mary amazing pass, but it's the little stuff that you do every day, and we just lack often the little things. That if you add them all up, it makes a big difference. But processes, and often I'll see some people in the leadership positions that may be capable, but they're often in the wrong spot. And you remember the book by Jim Collins that said you got to get the right people on the bus, and then you got to put them in the right seats.
Right.
And I remember the last couple of dealerships I've worked at, we just had some people in the wrong seats. They should have been in different seats, and they would have done much, much better in a different seat. And they were frustrated because their skill sets were not suited for the seat that they were in. And sometimes when emotional attachment is there from owners and their upper management, executive management, it's hard for them to either understand that, or even if they do, to want to do something about it until they're confronted with it.
Sure, and they're too close to the situation. They're there all the time. And realistically, training from outside, I think one of the values is you're getting another set of eyes, somebody that sees things. It's no different than somebody walking into your dealership and seeing these eyesores. Well, we don't see it because we walk in every day. We don't see problems in our processes or people because we're too close to the situation. So having another set of eyes is great. And you made a really great point about having the right people in the right places. And I'm a firm believer that you probably have a majority of the right people. But legendary coach John Wooden, in his book, who's won multiple national championships at UCLA, back with Bill Walton and all those, and you know him, and I know you've read the book, but he would often take, and we're talking about teams that had Walton, Jabbar, I mean, these were the greatest collegiate teams of all times, but he would go and practice. He would take the starting five, and they would always scrimmage against the second five, and he would take the starting five and move them out of position. And even though you had future Hall of Famers, All-Americans, perhaps one of the greatest teams ever, when they were out of position, the second team would just regularly drum them.
Yeah.
And that's a great example for us. We try to move people around as well. I don't do as good a job of it as I should, but that is a great point. And another set of eyes, or having someone come in, is a very effective way of identifying those. I heard a word for the first time at one of your workshops. I'm sure maybe I've heard it before, but when you said it, it knocked me out. And you used the word contrarian, that you have a contrarian sales process. And that resonated with me because I like things that are different. And if we are going to go through the definition of insanity, and we're going to do these same things over and over again, and so far we're netting 17 people that like it out of 4,000, and let's say that survey was off by 100. So it'd be 117 out of 4,000 that just, when somebody says, hey, how do you like buying a car? On my first show, I interviewed people in the parking lot of a mall, and I said, what do you think about buying cars? And they're like, oh, would you rather go to the dentist? So you know what? Whether it's true or not, the perception is out there that we're dumb and we're going to waste everybody's time. And so when you use the word contrarian, I love some of the things that you talk about that you can do right off the bat that drop the walls and open up their minds, and you take some of those objections away early so that you can make way for this better experience. And you can take those things out and kind of stay on your white horse and be a hero. Please go over a couple of those things. I think they're terrific.
Well, just giving you an idea, the analogy is, I call it a slippery slide method. If you got on a water slide, you would make it to your goal and you would gain momentum and speed. And that's what a sales process should be like. There shouldn't be anything to interfere with the customer moving forward. So I always just try to look, and being contrarian is what tends to stop people. Well, the way we meet and greet people stops them at times. Hey, you're looking to buy something, or hi, welcome to my dealership. My name is Mark and your name is. And
can I help you?
Don't remember their name. We shake hands. They don't even want to shake our hands.
Right.
So, I started inverting that process a little bit. And then, as you well know, many years ago, and this is nothing new, it's just the way that I did it, I inverted the trade to the beginning because it was the biggest sticking point in the whole process. And we avoided it until the end. And it became a touch point with the customer where they were upset. So I started getting the salespeople to take the customer to the trade, and not to devalue it, but to lift it up and to point out, that it's great and we need this, and to talk about what they liked about it, what they don't like, and trying to engage them through their comfort zone. And all customers, they spend their time at homework or car, and they bring the car to you, and to ignore it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And we have found that we can get past most objections and find out how to tailor the sale to what they want to do, how they want to buy, what they've done in the past, their patterns, their hope for gain. Otherwise, you're doing a spray and pray method of selling. And I always said that, we just take people and we start showing them cars. Well, they're wanting a solution to a problem. It's wants or needs. And now we're trying to sell them a car, and you're a salesperson. You're a commodity selling a commodity, and the best that you can do is a low percentage close at low money, and the
Right.
people aren't going to be happy even if they buy. There's nothing different about that. So just go through your process and say, how could we invert something? How could we speed it up? How could we slow it down? How could we use verbiage and our words to change the perception up front? And you can do so much to change. But to give you another quick example on the meet and greet, hi, folks. Y'all beginning to look and shop around a little bit today? Hi, folks. Welcome to our dealership. Are you looking and shopping today? Because 99% of the time they just say, I'm just looking, I'm just shopping. Now, I started doing that close to 30 years ago, and it was unheard of.
Right.
And I could see that people just react differently to that. And guess what? They still react differently to that 30 years later. It's amazing.
Right.
So some things that are old can be made new again, and the way that you do it and the way you deliver it.
Well, we're living in a world of data and collection of data. We have this data. We've been doing it a long time. We know what they're going to say. We know they're going to say, we're just looking and shopping. We know that they're going to say they want more for their trade. We know all of these things. This data, so to speak, we've collected over the years. And
Right.
what you're saying is go open that up right off the bat and let's attack that. Let's talk about that. Let's remove that so we can get on to business. It's like looking, that you're going to hit this pothole down the road. So you just kind of go la, 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 and you pretend it's not going to happen. Then when it happens, oh my gosh, boss, they want more for their trade, or they're just looking and shopping today. They just told me, or they never buy at the first place. Why don't we attack that right off the bat? I think that's awesome, and you and I see eye to eye on that. We've talked a lot about the 20-foot comfort circle, the trade-in, and how you can go straight over there and love on it and take notes on the trade. Tell me more, tell me more. And history repeats itself. People, if they bought a '02 Honda Accord used with 80,000 miles and they paid cash for it, chances are they're going to buy in a similar fashion. So
Absolutely.
If you find out what they did, you're going to find out a lot more about what they're going to do. And you don't have to say, how much money you putting down? What kind of payment you looking for? You looking for a 2-door, 4-door? Well, what you can do is just say, well, I know that they're used to paying $475 a month. Gee, how'd you get your payments so low? Maybe they tell you they put money down. You're just asking them about the car, but you're gleaning information, like you said, that's going to tailor-make your presentation, your vehicle selection. You're going to save time, and overall what? The customer experience
Yep.
becomes tons better. So we are so in line on that, and I love that. When somebody thinks like me, that's my favorite thing about a person.
That's trying to scare me right there. I may go back and rewrite and rethink everything I've ever done because
So
now I'm really second guessing myself.
What I really love about you is when you think like me. But when you don't, I don't like you that much.
Yeah.
I need to bring something up. And you know me, I sometimes stray off the subject. Everybody that's watching is going, yeah, no kidding. Can we talk about this?
That is one handsome guy. I'd like to meet him because he's got some tricks up his sleeve, I can tell.
He's got a trick right above his lip and under his nose. Have
That
you
makes you
ever
want to go disco dancing or meet Tom Selleck, doesn't it?
have you ever been in the highway patrol? Have you ever been a DPS officer? Because look at that stash, man. That's classic. That's awesome. That is I had to do that, buddy. And that's a super awesome mustache. Most people can't pull that off. I'm going with kind of a new beard look, and I interviewed Brent Weiss on the last show. His beard is like this, and so I really was proud of my beard until I went up next to a real one. So I had to show the stash picture. How long ago was that?
Like yesterday. No.
Thanks for shaving for the program. Okay, Mark, we have a lot of sales professionals that tune into the network here. And so please give those sales professionals maybe a couple of nuggets that they can use today, or maybe it'll remind them that will help up their production just starting right away.
Let me give you simple things. Number one, I call it a nice trade call. For every nice trade that you take in, the whole dealership, every salesperson keeps a little running list of somebody looking for a car like that. But what I would invite you to do, even if you do not have somebody looking for that type of car, is call through your database at least 10 people, maybe 20 if you've got that big of a database. And call the people and just say, hey, folks, I don't want to take much of your time. Let me get right to the point. But we took in a really, really nice vehicle. And when we get a nice low mileage vehicle like that, say a one owner bought from us, serviced with us, it just doesn't last very long, often within a couple, 2 or 3 days. Now, I was calling to let you in on a secret because we just took it in. It's not even out for sale. It's going through service. So I'm trying to call a couple of my preferred customers just like you to let you guys know about it before anybody else gets a chance at it. So even if it's something that you may not have some interest in, out of your friends, family, relatives, neighbors, or coworkers, who do you think might be the most likely person to want to get in on that secret deal of the week? Would it be you or a family member? Who would that person be? And I promise you, if you'll make 10 to 20 calls, you'll probably set an appointment a week just by taking the nice trades and openly calling your database, because you'll create sales that weren't even there. And that may be one of the simplest things you could ever do.
That's called the nice trade call.
Nice trade call.
Okay, there's one, folks. The nice trade call. I love it. You know what? My salespeople are the same way. They're looking for a reason to call. You have to have a reason to call. And it can't be, hey, we're just checking to see if you're in the market, bleh. You have to have a reason, and that is awesome. The nice trade call. Give us another nugget.
Well, I see people following up with the people that didn't buy to try to create a quote be back. But when they do, they're generally just saying, oh, I'm just following up to see what happened. You changed your mind, or what did you decide? Every time you call with somebody that did not buy, you have to change their decision. You have to change what they're making a decision on. So I call this with managers as well. We call this walking the wheel. So
Okay.
I'll even put a picture of a wheel right by the manager's desk, and I'll say, okay, before anybody leaves and they came in on a buy, did we talk to them about a lease? And you know what? We're up to about 27% leasing nationwide. Most of the stores I go into right now could not calculate a lease. They cannot tell you what a lease is. Shame on you.
I'm sorry.
You get about 10 more deals this month if you could present a lease to somebody that you normally wouldn't. So that's just one area. But then I keep going. I was in a Save a Deal meeting the other day, which the dealership wasn't due. We started doing
What are those? What's a Save a Deal meeting?
That's just going through all your sold deals, your unsold deals, your traffic, as you well know, and everything else. And I know you're joking, but
That's
you know,
that's 2A.
Save a
2A,
deal.
everybody. Listen, here, have a Save a Deal meeting.
Yes.
And I promise there's someone listening to this or watching this right now that's like, just don't do those enough. So we're going to jump in and say, do that no matter what. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
When the Save a Deal meeting, the first example we went over was an unsold deal, and there was equity in the trade, and we couldn't also get to the payment. We had two issues, and I said, did we try a lease and giving cash back for his trade? And everybody looked at me like, and I said, hey, I don't know that that'll make the deal, but I know if we haven't tried that, money talks. And so
Right.
if they have equity and they have a paid off trade, I'll offer them one option of cash back, but I'm also going to offer up the lease and maybe get two options going on there where I'm giving them cash back and getting to their payment
Sure.
and trading them out quicker. So, and then we had another one where I asked about why didn't we try this particular bank? They had dealer tracked the deal, but there was a bank that wasn't in there that we could have put to get a better call that would have made the deal. And
Right.
so I'm looking to walk the wheel to find the possibility. And if I
Walk
put
the
together
wheel.
one deal a month, I win.
Okay, so walking the wheel means different ways to approach the customer. And you're saying one of the things on the wheel is the lease, is
That's
offer
one.
a lease. What are some other examples of walking the wheel? In other words, what you're saying is, have you done everything? Have you thought of every possibility to run at this customer before they leave? Is that what you're saying to begin with?
Absolutely.
Or have you run the wheel on follow-up or whatever? So I want to create this wheel. What are some points on this wheel that I can put just for starters? And I know you're always adding to it, but what are some starters? Offer a lease. What else?
Okay, a trade versus no trade. Looking in the bureau to see if there's another vehicle that could be traded besides the one that we have. Doing
Okay.
two trades instead of one.
Okay.
Looking at a lease versus a buy versus lease.
Okay.
Cash back on equity or a full
Okay.
paid off car.
Okay.
Looking at, I've done rate buy downs before.
Mhm.
I've done situations where We've done obviously co-signers. We've changed banks. There's,
Right.
if you think about it, and I keep going around, I could probably come up with 20 different things that we
New
wanna
to
check
used,
every-
new to used. Have we showed them? Have we showed them a used opposed to a new? Have we showed them a certified car versus this? There's a million different things that we need to do. But having a wheel, a visual wheel in
Yes.
front of the sales manager, that's tip number 2. I love that. And we can sit here and say, oh, I ran at him at all these different directions. You know what? But if you have a visual in front of you and you start going through that wheel, that's awesome. I love that. That's something we
Well,
can use right now.
To give you an idea, when we do a Save a Deal meeting, I'll watch, and managers will just recite what they think happened on the deal, on the unsold deals. And what I'll do is start to try to pick it apart, going around the wheel. And yeah, it makes us uncomfortable, and that's the idea. We should get uncomfortable to create a huge sense of urgency about there has to be a way to put this deal together. And
Right.
when you do that, man, I'm telling you, it's amazing what you start to do with your energy, your sense of urgency, and making things happen. And that wheel helps because we're check and balancing. I'm putting some pressure on F&I. They're putting it on me. And
Right.
I don't want to hear just the story. I want to pull everything out, whether it's on the
Sure.
computer, in the paper, in your
Right.
folder. I want to look at the bureau. I want to look at the trade slip. I want to look at every single piece of paper. How did we desk the deal? Did we show them 3 payments? Did we
Right.
show them enough cash down? What
Right.
did we do in this that we could have done maybe a little bit differently? And then I want a manager calling back, the unsold customers as well. If we're going to TO in person, why not TO on the phone? And
Right.
sometimes the biggest thing we lack in dealerships is simply a massive sense of urgency. When I walk in the door, I'll guarantee you I make any dealership in America spend 20% harder than they ever have before.
We're running out of time here, but before we go, please, can you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, and if they want to reach out to you, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, email, phone numbers, whatever, shoot.
Absolutely. My phone number is 888-2-TEWART, and it's Tewart, just like Stewart, but no S. You can go to my website at marktewart.com, Twitter at Mark Tewart, LinkedIn at Mark Tewart. You can buy my book off of my website, How to Be a Sales Superstar, or go to Amazon and Google me. You'll find me. I got a ton of videos on YouTube. We have an online training channel you guys use called Tewart Online Training. We have people all over the country on it, and we're getting very blessed to get some great reviews on that. It's got sales, management, BDC, internet. We're adding another 100 modules coming up here in the next few weeks.
Awesome. It is a terrific product. Mark, you're seriously one of the biggest talents in the industry, and you give back so much. You've taught me a lot, and I value our friendship and the mustache. I was hoping maybe you would start working on the mustache again.
I was just going to say you said all that stuff because you really like my mustache.
It is. It's all about the stash. Listen, buddy, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Hope to see you soon. And thanks for being on the Who's Your Danny show.
Thank you, buddy. Have a good one.
All right. See you, man.
This thing right here is for the IS-20G. And this thing right here is by my man Danny B. What they call you?
Who's your Danny? They say it's me. Been doing cars since '83. I'm busting fools and teaching schools, sharing tools and breaking rules. Who's your Danny? They say it's me. Breaking it down for all to see. Keep it simple, keep it clear. The status quo is all I fear.